Hello, Leo, and welcome to Osirian Rivers channel, where we blend rune stones and oracle cards to bring you your message. This message is for Leo moons, but also sun and rising. Firstly, I say that I read for moon signs because that's what comes in the clearest to me is your personal side, not necessarily what you're out about and doing, but like your inner being is your moon sign. So those of you with a Leo moon, we are going to be doing a reading for January 2020. I just gotta say, the fixed energies, which would be Leo, Scorpio, Taurus, and Aquarius, are being just, oh my goodness, it's hard. We're getting interrupted. As I sat down to channel Leo's energy, I had to start this video over 5 times. And it's getting on my nerves. But we just have to breathe through it. And man, change is hard for everybody. But when you're fixed fire, you have to really think about the foundations of your fire, where you're going to place it, or you're going to burn through everything. So the stone I pulled is Separation reversed. And this is dealing with inherited possessions, your home life, and where you are originating from. So you kind of carve yourself out of the land that you belong to. Sort of like when you meet somebody and they're like, well, where are you from? And it's kind of a silly question because you're from wherever you are right then. But they still want to hear about your past. They still want to hear, what were you separated from? What are your origins? All right. This card's really wanting to come out, and I know exactly why. Because of all those distractions. It's time to refocus in meditation and prayer. I don't really think of this card as prayer so much as contemplation, because I kind of feel like the word prayer has a Christian connotation, and I'm not Christian by any stretch of the mind. However, if you are, that's great. This card is actually about a preacher who's trying to decide if he should move to the city and speak the gospel to everybody, or just stay in the country with his family and preach at the local church. Really about getting back to roots for you guys right now. And like, what does feel like home? And what is something that you want to be separated from? Not joy. You definitely want to keep joy close to you, but the thing about this card is that you can't. So everyone's looking around for joy. They're trying to look around for something to make them happy, put spring back in their step. And it doesn't show up until no one's looking for it anymore. Like, they just kind of forgot about the pursuit of happiness and just found themselves to be happy with an abundance, with an overflowing of joy. And then it settles back down into a peace and a sort of happiness. Because happiness can be a normal state, it can be a contented state. It doesn't have to always be something excited or excitable. The next card out we have is renewal. So that's the contentment that I'm talking about, where this spirit is working in a landfill in absolutely disgusting conditions to grow something beautiful, because it's from those deep pockets of sadness and then joy, as you see the other side, the differences, that we can grow a new self when we're separated from the old roots and connecting to where we find peace and joy. There's a balancing act that you have to do. It's like what I was exactly just saying, where you have extremes on both sides of pain and joy. And how are you going to renew and rejuvenate yourself when you have these very two separate energies? And the answer is balance. Balance those energies. Carry them with you, the ones that you find useful, and cleave away the parts of your past while honoring them, like saying thank you. Thank you for where you're from, and really understanding where you're coming from. And the rune of separation, that is the letter that comes after signals. So it's like you've got the message, you know what's going to work and you know what's not, and you can move on with your new boundaries in place and balance from there. With acceptance. Now this is the second root chakra card. That's what the red border indicates. Now, root chakra is not really any color. We just sort of denote that here in Western culture as red because that's how we remember it. It's kind of like these elder runes. It's an alphabet language, and yet we have denoted all of this symbolism to them because it's how we convey messages to each other. So acceptance of your root chakra and where you're at right now, what exactly it is that you have to give away and what parts you're keeping. And ultimately, this worker, her little tag says cherry. I don't know if you can read that. So it's a cherry pie. Sort of cut a slice of her innocence out and is okay with it, is accepting that, is moving on wiser, knowing like, okay, all right, but what piece does she want? Is she going to keep the whole pie or is she going to keep the slice? I don't know. That depends on your needs. That depends on where you're at in life. I also feel like some of you want to use that pie cutter in other ways. Definitely dealing with frustration and anger and wanting to move forward and feeling like you are stopped everywhere. And the reason that that's happening is about balance and acceptance. So understanding that the weight of all of the good things and the weight of all of the bad things will balance each other. And when you just sort of are walking in that state of that fine line of peace and contentedness and true acceptance of the sorrow and the pain, that also you can have a spontaneous joy spring up and overtake you at any moment because you've allowed the space for it. So thank you, Leo, so much for watching. Please hit the like button. That's how the channel grows. I just have to say this. Also, if you want to book a private reading with me, you can email me at osirianrivers@gmail.com.